officially, we're starting our program tonight with Gabby Allan and her book, Much Ado About Nauticaling. Talk about a tongue twister there. And then we've got Carol Perry with her book, My Favorite Ghost, or Be My Ghost. And Ghost always grabs me, I have to tell you. And that goes back to reading the woo-woo ones when I was young.
Yeah.
So that's always a turn on. So it's so wonderful to have both you ladies. Gabby is going to an electrical storm, and we hope that doesn't interfere with reception.
Yeah.
And Carol is in Florida and doing just fine, apparently, weather-wise.
It's
All right.
just fine. Beautiful here. I love Florida.
Okay. I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We were chatting, as you could tell, we got started on that early. And I was saying that I found both of their books just fascinating, very different, a different approach. Because they did such a good job, Gabby, on changing your name, I did not realize you had that many books.
Oh, that's
behind
okay.
You.
Yep.
So I thought, wow, this is good. This is a brand new author. So you fooled me completely. I wouldn't have outed you.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you, it's funny because there were a couple of places that listed me as a debut author, which technically is true because this is the first book in this name. And I'm thinking, I haven't been a debut author since for 16 years. Okay. If you want to put me on the debut shelf, I am not going to argue with you, but I actually had an Amazon review through an ARC, like a NetGalley thing. And the person said, this sounds really familiar. I can't wait to see who this author actually is.
Oh, perceptive.
Very good. And you explained, but you might want to do it briefly again, what their reasoning was.
Oh, so I write traditional cozies for Kensington. This Much Ado About Nauticaling, they are calling a rom cozy, which is like a rom-com and a cozy sitting on a beach drinking a Mai Tai. So it's a little, it has a little more romance, a little rockier romance, I think, than a lot of the traditional cozy mysteries have. And so they've actually been pulling in a lot of romance readers, which I am loving. On Instagram, Larissa, who is the publicist at Kensington, made a point to approach a lot of the romance readers, and they are so excited because they've never read a cozy mystery because they didn't really know if it would fit what they like. And now all of a sudden they're like, this is my first cozy mystery ever, and now I'm going to go buy all of them. And so I really hope that it opens up the world of cozy to more readers. And so they thought that if the name was different, that it would mark, these are traditionals under Misty Simon and these are rom cozies under Gabby, so you knew what to expect when you opened it up.
And I've had a taste of the romance group, and they are an enthusiastic lot. So if you win their attention.
Yes. I actually, some of my 50 books are romance. I started out writing cozy mysteries with a whole lot of romance, not realizing that you're not supposed to do that. Nobody told me any different. Then moved into just romance, and then moved into cozy mystery, traditional, and now I'm marrying the two and doing my two favorite things in one book. So it's very exciting.
It does sound wonderful. And Carol, tell me about how you got into your type of book and wound up with the one that you're doing tonight, talking about tonight, is Be My Ghost.
Well, actually, Kensington asked me to do a paranormal, and that's where Be My Ghost came along. And if an editor says, Carol, can you do blah, blah, blah? You say, oh, of course I can do that, no matter what it is. And then go look up paranormal in the dictionary. and I asked a few writer friends about it, and they said, "Well, you got to do vampires and zombies," and I said, not so much, but I do like ghosts, and so Be My Ghost became the first of that series. I also write the Witch City Mysteries. This is book 11 in that series, and Misty, Gabby, this one, the romance started in book 1, and I just finished book 12. And it's been the same boyfriend all along, and we slowly progressed.
Nice.
And the readers seem to be enjoying that. And
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, it's and I've enjoyed getting to know them. I sometimes am a guest on a radio show called Joy on Paper, and one of the guests that Patsy Gill had, who is the host of that show back a while, was Mary Higgins Clark, and she said, and I wrote it down because I thought it was so profound, if you're in love with your characters, it makes the writing that much easier.
Yes.
And it is. I'm already in love with Goldie. And you're
Oh, thank you. You know what's really funny is that everyone is in love with Goldie.
well,
A lot of people like Wit, but Goldie is the one who gets mentioned the most.
we have Idea Bee in here, who is my protagonist, very hip, very techie, very good looking aunt, not quite as flashy as Goldie, but not the heels. but she has a lot of fans, and of course I have a cat on the cover, and Orion gets a lot of fans. But Be My Ghost, we have a golden retriever. Cozy's and you have Whiskers the cat, and and I thought, well, I will have a dog this time, and he's worked out awfully well. He's not magical at all, and Orion has certain properties, and all he ever says is woof, but he says it with such great expression that it seems to work. My protagonist has inherited from an unknown benefactor, an inn in Florida, and she's up in Massachusetts. She's a department store buyer, and like many of the department stores, it's gone, and she's out of work. Meanwhile, Finn, her dog, has flunked his guide dog course because he's too curious and too friendly. So the two of them are out of work, and happily she has this amazing bequest of a piece of property in Florida, which after some consternation decides, well, it's a roof over my head and I can't afford Massachusetts in the winter. So off they went to Florida. And I've had such fun with my ghosts. And writing about ghosts is very entertaining for the writer because you can't be wrong. Nobody can argue with you if you say, the ghost says that she went to the light and she didn't want to go, and this happened and that happened, and who's going to argue with you because they're ghosts.
Exactly.
So I'm loving it. As Mary Higgins Clark suggested, I am in love with my characters sometimes, and I know, Misty Gabby, that your characters sometimes seem to be dictating. You just say, "Oh, that's good. I wish I'd thought of that."
Absolutely. And let me tell you, so one of the other series that I write under Misty Simon for a different publisher is called Adventures in Ghost Sitting. And so she's very into the 80s. So all of the titles have to do with 80s stuff. The first one is called Desperately Seeking Salvage. There's Don't Dream It's Rover, All Died Out, I Wear My Ghost Goggles at Night. So she owns a junkyard, and everything in the junkyard has a ghost attached to it, and they're all very badly behaved. And I will tell you, I'm so on board with you on the ghost thing because it's so much fun. You can make up histories for them. They're not here anymore, so you can do whatever they want.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can have whoever you want.
Right. And you can have like a ghost from the 1920s who still wears like red lipstick. That's the only color out of the whole thing that she has going on.
My ghost from the 20s appears always in black and white because she was in movies, and that's the way she sees herself. So she appears in sort of flickering black and white.
I love it. I love it. I think that kind of stuff is so neat. And and just like Goldie, when you're talking about, the heels and stuff, I think that if you add those little things in there,
Mhm.
people are very invested in the characters. One of the things that I absolutely love about the cozy mystery community is that the readers love your characters too. And they want to see what's going on with mom. They want to see what Goldie's going to do next. They want to know, if the grandmother is hanging out around and what happened to your 1920s ghost. And so there's this sense of community, I think, that
Mhm.
so many mysteries are built on, that people absolutely adore and will come back for over and over again. If you get them interested in your characters, they're along for the ride. The murder they also like, but they really, really are there, I think, more often than not, for what happens next in your character's life. And that is so fun.
And several times you said they want to see, they want to see. I think cozies are visual
Oh yeah.
readers. I am.
Yes.
And cozy writers have the luxury of going into detail that
Yes.
perhaps if you were writing um, a real true crime,
Mm.
that's different. It has to be more abrupt and fast and moving all the time. But we can linger over the food and the
Yes.
clothes and the high heels.
Yes. And they want, like, if you're going to write a thriller, and I love reading thrillers,
Mhm.
I don't think I could write one. They're a little too edgy for me as far as writing, because I
Misty,
also,
if they call you tomorrow and say, Misty, can you write a thriller? You'll go, oh yeah.
oh yeah, I'll have an idea within 2.3 seconds. I'm not saying I can't write them. I'm just saying I don't
I
tend
don't
to.
choose to. Yeah.
Right. They're not my first.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think, like you said, in the cozy, there is a sense of sometimes of meandering. It doesn't have to be action all the time. They're in for the relationships. They're in
Yes.
for Goldie walking around, for Pops
Mhm.
doing the treasure chest, which, funny enough, Pops is actually based on my grandfather. He used to make those treasure chests, and he used to make the maps to
Yeah.
keep my cousin out of trouble, because my cousin was very, very run all over the place, get into everything. And so he would take a piece of paper, draw a map, burn the
Mhm.
edges, stuff it into like a Coke bottle, and shove it in the sand at the shore. And then my cousin would find it,
Yeah.
and then he would be entertained for a couple of hours while he go try to find this
Yeah.
this
I
treasure
could see
chest.
it in the burned edges on the map and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah. I could see it.
yeah.
And
And
Yeah.
I
I've
love
read ideas like that when I was raising my girls. That just sounds great.
yeah, it and I love too bringing in people. Carol, I don't know exactly how you do it, but I know for myself, I tend to start out basing my characters on someone I know, someone I've interacted with, but then they kind of grow into their own people.
They do.
And so while Pops was based on my grandfather in some of the aspects, he is not in the end, he ended up being his own person,
Mhm.
which then is a lot of fun. So Goldie is my grandma. She was 93 and still dancing for Arthur Murray Studio,
Uh,
still competing for Arthur Murray Studio. The woman could not even go out and get the mail without the full face
yeah.
on, the chiffon dress, the kitten heels. And so putting her into a book, and originally that's who Goldie was. And then Goldie became her own person. And I was like, I adore both of them, and I cannot wait to continue to be able to bring them
Yeah.
on the scene and show how things work. So yeah.
And I love the nautical parts. I've I never lived out of sight of the water, and I don't want to.
I
And
got you.
I've been a galley gal, and I've ladled out bait, and my kids all have worked in something associated with boats, not glass bottom, but generally party boats. I even did a little stint as a commercial fisherman.
Did you?
Very exciting. I'm too old to do it now, but it was fun. And then I had my tuna fishing experiences with the
Love
giant tuna. Oh yeah. Oh, I love it.
That's
We have a
awesome.
boat now, but which we go, we don't even fish. It's going to get the boat dirty, you know. Sometimes we just go down and sit on it and then have coffee or
okay.
wine or whatever. Yeah, but
That
I
is
love it. So
okay.
the whole atmosphere speaks to me.
Oh, thank you.
Carol.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and Carol, I had a question going back to your Which City series.
Hmm.
Would that be considered YA?
Would it be considered what?
YA, young adult?
No, no, they aren't young adult. And if a kid read it, it's not going to hurt him any, but like most cozies. But no, these are adult. And
Okay.
and I just turned in book 12.
And then
Congratulations.
I had a question about another one, which I couldn't get much detail on, but it sounded like it perked up some ears. Nightscapes?
What was it?
Nightscapes?
Nightshades, maybe.
All right. Could be. Yeah. All right.
Nightshades was the original title of the first book I sent to Kensington. I sold direct to publisher, and I did that with school book fairs too. I've never had an agent. I've submitted a few times to agents and got the polite, lots of luck rejections. The only one I ever replied, because they were all so polite, but one of them, and his name was John, when I sent Nightshades out, said, thank you for sending it, but I don't see how I could possibly interest a New York publisher in this. And I had by then already signed a contract with Kensington. So I wrote back and said, Dear John, thank you for your interest. I'm sure you will share my joy when I tell you that I just signed a 3-book contract with Kensington.
I love it.
You know what, Carol? That is very nicely done. I don't know that I would have been as nice in that response. So
it did bring me joy.
I'm going to applaud you on that one.
But the satisfaction she had in visualizing his face when he opened it, why?
To this day.
Yeah. I have enough rejections that I could, probably paper an entire bathroom 3 times over. So yeah, I mean, it's part of the business. I have had 2 different agents, and both of them we kind of parted ways. But I have sold also directly to Kensington. I had actually met Essie at a conference in 2005, and she is my editor at Kensington. And when I met her, I was like, "Oh, you're on my list of please let me work with you." 12 years later is when I got to start working with her, and it was the exact experience that I hoped for, plus a couple.
Essie is my editor also.
Oh, that's awesome! Isn't she so much fun?
And she is. And when I I'm a rule follower when it comes to the books, and I looked at the submission guidelines and did exactly what they said. And they have a list of their editors, and I picked Essie because I liked her name. I never knew anyone named Essie Soga before, so I liked her name. And there is luck involved. I mean, you have to be a good writer, but you landed on the right desk on the right day when it's just what they're looking for, and that's just wow.
I
Magic.
Exactly. I was on a flight once, and I was talking with a woman, just sitting next to her, and I had said something about luck, and that there is a certain amount of luck, but there's also a lot of work. You landed on that desk on that day because you were working. And so she said, "Oh, well, to me, luck is the crossroads of perseverance and opportunity." And I was like, okay, then I am on board with luck, because no one is going to come knocking on your door like the Publisher's House sweepstakes and offer you a contract and say,
"What?"
I know, Carol, I am so sorry to have ruined that dream for you. But they're like, nobody's coming around and saying, are you writing a book? Did you write a book? Can I publish that book? So you have to be working to be able to hit on that day with that idea. And so, yes, I think that there's some crossroad that you're going to hit, but if you're not already working and persevering, then the opportunity is not going to come to you. Yeah, absolutely.
love you. I think this is going to be a good friendship.
I love it. I'm on board. Let's go.
And don't you love Larissa?
I do. Isn't she fun too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, she is she is one of the most enthusiastic, and I say that very carefully because I am very enthusiastic myself. She topped me once and I was like, "Ooh, wow, I'm going to have to up my game." I thought I was the most out there person. No, she totally had me.
She's,
No, we had a
and the
few
publicity is wonderful. Oh, they're so good.
we had a few people join us a little later. So clarify who Larissa is, please.
Larissa is the publicist for the Cozy Mysteries at Kensington. So she's the one who that can set up an Instagram tour. She can guide you towards certain different book signings or these kinds of virtual chats. And so they put together a plan, usually letting you know kind of what they would like to see you do and what they would like to
Yeah.
do with you to get you hopefully the word of mouth as well as the advertising to have your book be found. I mean, let's be honest, there are millions of books out every year now. There didn't used to be, and the playing field was still big. It wasn't as crowded as it is now, and so sometimes if you're able to get the word of mouth started like on Instagram, it just makes it so that more people are aware that your book is out, and
Right.
so they're very
And-
good at that.
And luckily, both of you are working or have worked with Larissa, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Oh.
worked with both Larissa and Michelle. Michelle Ado is the other, and she did the first set with me. And then Larissa apparently told Essie that she was taking this book. I don't think that she was assigned to it. Apparently, she walked in and told Essie, "I want Much Ado About Nauticaling," and I was like, "You whatever. I mean, let's not fight, girls." But yeah,
I'll
it
share.
was fun. Yes, yes, I'm good with whoever. But yeah, they really do have the Larissa also puts on the Cozy Mystery Cons, which I'm just gonna tell anybody who's on right now that we had two of them in California year before last. They're a blast. If you ever have a chance to come to one, absolutely jump in because it's talking, it's signing, it's being in a room with a bunch of people who love the same things you do, and they're a ton of fun.
So
Yeah,
they
we had
hold
one
this,
in St. Petersburg. It was great.
I did not make that one, but I would have loved to.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And
now these are held separately from VoucherCon or Left Coast Crime or anything. These are independent.
Yes. So they tend to be a one-day event, and they before the world started, I don't even know what to call it.
Yeah.
Before all of this happened, they did 4 a year, and they would try to do one in the north, one in the south, one in the
Mhm.
east, one in the west. And
Oh,
so I think we were in Virginia, we did Pennsylvania, we did Florida,
Dallas.
There was
Yeah.
one, I think it was in Cambridge. And then they did two, one in Redondo Beach and one in San Diego, over in California. And so just like they try to hit kind of a central area so that people can come in and I think one of them was a brunch, but most of them are more like a free event. You come in, you talk to the authors, they are sitting at tables, you can go talk to them and kind of find out what's going on and chat with them.
sounds like fun. I want to keep track of when the next one comes out west.
Yes, you should. They're a lot of fun, and I would love to meet you. So that would be a great opportunity for both of those things.
Yeah,
I think
that
so
would be
too.
fun. There are the Mystery Writers of America Florida branch has well, last year it was canceled, but hopefully it'll happen this year. Sleuthfest,
Yes,
which is more regional, and that's an excellent one. It's
yes,
beautifully run, and it's usually on the east coast of Florida. And next week or the week after, I'm not in the room with the calendar, but is the Novelist Incorporated, NINC,
yes.
which I am a fairly recent member, but I'm going to it because it's in St. Pete Beach. So I could day hop to this one. And I'm looking forward to that because there are speakers I've never heard of before. And I don't, but I love to talk about writing and you, every conference you go to, you will come away with at least one thing you didn't know before.
Yes.
Or meet some person that you just needed to meet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they're good, and just the camaraderie and the happiness of being with people, because we don't think like everybody else, and it's nice to be among other people who understand that. The
That's
writer's
so,
mind is a strange and wonderful thing.
and I'll tell you what, the murder mystery writer mind is just a little
Oh,
step more than
isn't
that
it?
too.
Oh, isn't
I,
it?
I was at breakfast the other day with a friend, and I just was not thinking about the fact that we were not in a room by ourselves. And so I was like, so yeah, I totally want to kill him by like wrapping this vine around his throat. And then I'm thinking, while he's there, I should also poison him to make sure that like they can't tell which one was the one who killed him. And the waitress comes up and she puts the chocolate milk down and she's like, everything okay over here? I was like, we're fine. I'm a writer. And she's like, ah. And then she
Oh.
walked away. And I was like, do you think she believed me? Because I don't know that she did.
And be
Or
careful what you say in elevators. I was at a conference in Fort Lauderdale in a hotel, and of course there are other things happening in the hotel besides the conference. And my friend Sharon and I were in the elevator, and all of a sudden I said, Sharon, I've decided to kill Mr. Pennington. And then came to our floor and got out of the elevator. And it's a wonder there wasn't security waiting for me the next time I came out.
Right.
I
try
didn't kill
really
Mr.
hard.
Pennington after all.
Oh, okay. I do try really hard to say on the page to kind of finish that sentence off.
Yeah.
I was actually, so I live in a little tiny town called Mechanicsburg. And funny enough, it was called that because it was started by mechanics. That's how, very artistic we are here in Pennsylvania. And we actually drop an 8-foot wrench from a fire truck on New Year's Eve. I think that says really all you need to know.
Okay.
If you want to know more, read the Tally Graver mystery series that are set in Mechanicsburg. Anyway, so there's a pizza shop, and I have approached certain businesses to say, by the way, I'm writing a book, and I am where you are is where the murder is going to happen. And they all giggle and stuff. So I'm over at the pizza shop, and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to ask, is it okay if I kill someone here? And the owner says, "Oh, all right, as long as it's in the basement." And I was like, I write books, right? Like, I'm just gonna, and he's like, oh, then go ahead and kill him wherever you want. And I was like, oh, okay, well, if you ever invite me to the basement, I think I'm gonna run. I don't really. Woo, okay. Then I found out that his dad actually went to jail for hiding one of the Gambinos in town. And I was like, oh, now I'm really scared. I don't know. Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that.
you never know what you're going to meet or run into.
Right. And Anne, you had a bunch of questions and we're just yakking. So
No.
did you? Oh, okay.
You're covering a lot of it. I wanted to remind people that the chat room is on, so please type anything in. And but we will also get these ladies slowed down a little bit so you can ask some questions a little later. But I'd like both of you, Carol, why don't you start to do just a little bit more about your books, because we talked about it early on, but some people have joined us a little later, and I think they'd like to hear a little bit more about the books, the current ones. In your case, Be My Ghost.
Okay. Somebody just from the chat came up and said, how do you think of your titles?
Right.
And I sometimes it's with conference with the editors, but quite often they do accept my titles. Be My Ghost, I thought, because she's inherited a hotel, an inn actually. It's a little play on Be My Guest.
Hmm.
Yes.
And that's how this one came about. And the ghosts, I'm a what you call a pantser. I do write by the seat of my pants, and I am not a good plotter at all. And if I do try to plot, I throw it away and just the characters take over or whatever chemistry happens. That's the way it is. I just have never. It would be easier if I could sit down and outline and then follow it, but I just can't do it. So I did this one by the seat of my pants, and the next one is coming along the same way. Only it's going so much faster. They are talking to me better. I know them better now, and I found some new ghosts. And I did a little research when I started it to see how plausible is the ghost in a hotel. Well, Florida has a lot of haunted hotels, and I guess the people that own the hotels that purport to be haunted are kind of proud of that, and some of them advertise it. My protagonist doesn't. This little town of Haven, Florida, which is kind of a mix of a number of places in Florida, Gulfport, Sanford, Cedar Key, uh, quite a few of the places, the small towns I've been, the towns that the big attractions pass by and the highway doesn't go there. That's the kind of town I wanted for it. And the people in my imaginary town of Haven don't want the ghost hunters to come. They don't want the TV cameras. They don't want that kind of notoriety. And a lot of it is haunted and they just hush about it. No, we don't have ghosts. No, we don't. Uh, I told some of the earlier visitors about my movie star ghost. She was a starlet actually. She looked too much like Jean Harlow to be a star, so she never did reach that status. And she haunts uh, my protagonist's room, Maureen Doherty, and the dog's name is Finn. I was vibrating to my Irish instincts here for some reason. I don't know where these names came from, but there they are. Um, and one of my other ghosts is who just sort of appeared out of nowhere and isn't based on anybody I know, was Billy B. Doggone Bailey, who was a barroom piano player. And in her hotel, there is an old player piano, and they've rigged it up so that it plays tapes of some of the old rolls. But when she first gets there, the player piano belts out Maureen, which is not in that rotation. It's fairly recent. But now when she passes by, she says, "Thanks, Billy," and that he's just there. She's not seen him, and they just keep suggesting themselves in this magical way that ghosts do. And I'm enjoying the characters just as much as I hope the readers are.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
And Gabby, your
So,
title and so on.
yes, well, I felt like I should probably be able to show you my books since Carol's been really good about doing that. There's Much Ado About Nauticaling. I
Mhm.
also am like so into swag. So we have door hangers and it says, "I'm reading Much Ado About Nauticaling, disturb me and you'll walk the plank." I
Okay.
feel like these are really, you could be reading any book and you're more than welcome to hang it on your door. So if anybody wants one, you're more than welcome to email me, Gabby Allan writes at gmail.com, and I will do a little mailing out to whoever wants one. Um,
One
so
of the
much,
one of the questions here is, what is nauticaling exactly?
right. So nautical is anything having to do with the sea. And so I kind of just made nauticaling my own word. And this so it would be doing sea type things. I think, with titles for me, I tend to love titles, and I also have to have a title before I start writing a book, which not everybody needs to do that. I've actually never had a title changed on any of my books,
Wow.
because I love them so much. So the Tally Graver mysteries are Cremains of the Day, Grounds for Remorse, Deceased and Desist, Carpet Diem, and Varnished Without a Trace. And now the new one's going to be Par for the Hearse. And so, like, I love titles, and I tend to take, like Carol was saying, I tend to take a well-known phrase and I change a word so that it makes sense for whatever my story is, and then also hopefully makes me laugh. Um, with that, Much Ado About Nauticaling, Whitney Dagner, it has worked in the railroad yard as a container processor for years. Not a ton of years, but probably, since college for a while. Her grandparents, Goldie and Pops, have decided to um, give over their glass bottom boat business to her brother. And her first thought is, you are not the only one who gets to have fun. So she decides to uproot her life in Long Beach, California, and take herself the 20 miles into Catalina, or onto Catalina, into the city of Avalon. And so this is an actual island. It is an actual city. I already apologized to Catalina for anyone that I kill on the island that they didn't want me to. However, I will say, when I went over there to do some research on an island, which it wasn't, but I took it off my taxes as if it was. I rented a golf cart because I'm addicted to them now. And the poor boy at the counter, he should never have asked me how he could help me. He got stuck, and I was like, so hypothetically speaking, well, actually, can I chirp the tires on a golf cart? And he's like, I'm gonna say, please don't do that. And I was like, fine. Hypothetically speaking, could I chirp the tires on a golf cart? And so we got into this conversation, and it was really funny because I explained that I was a cozy writer, and he's like, so, like, how would you feel about a list of people that I'd like killed? I could do that. Go ahead and forward it to me. I would be happy to do the best I can with, is there, like, if you have a certain method and you want to go ahead and connect those, I can do that too. I had three different people in three different stores say, would you take a list? And I was like, wow, Catalina, you're a little sassier than I thought you were going to be.
Yeah,
And
I'm surprised at that.
I know, right? And so I thought, okay, when I was thinking about this, because I was asked to write something kind of like Carol was, I had been at a lot of these cozy cons. I had a lot of readers coming up and saying, I love the traditional cozy mystery. I would love to see it with something a little extra. And I was like, what are we talking extra? And they're like, maybe like, really like flawed characters with like maybe romances that don't go so well. And I was like, oh, you're speaking my language. I started doing those 16 years ago. Let me see what I can do. And so I brought it back to Essie, and I was like, here's what I'm hearing. All I'm asking for is the opportunity to try. I'm not saying that, you can't do this elsewhere or have another author do it, but I really at least want to try. And so so I came up with Much Ado About Nauticaling, and I had done a number of mysteries that are set. One set is in Virginia, one is kind of outside of Philadelphia, and then another is set here in Mechanicsburg. And I was just like, I want sand. Because I from 13 to 29, 28, 29, 29, I think, I lived in California. So, and I lived in the desert, and I was not very far from Oceanside. I spent a lot of time in San Diego, and I was like, okay, so where do you want to go with this? And I thought, how much fun would Catalina Island be?
Mhm.
For one thing, it's very small. Their population is like 3,500 permanent resident. You don't own the land that you live on. You rent it for 99 years. You own the house though. And so like and you have to wait 35 years to put a car on the island. So that's why everybody drives golf carts. And so but then they started doing sneaky things, because if you can get yourself a Mini Cooper that's as small as a golf cart, you can have that. And I was like, oh, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun, because, car chases with golf carts. Why not? And so, and there's so many little things on there, like the Wrigley Mansion is over there. Marilyn Monroe was over there. They have buffalo on the island because somebody in the early 1900s made a movie, and it was Western, and they brought buffalo, and they kind of forgot to take them with them when they left. So these buffalo are still there. The whole spine of the island is protected due to different species that are there. And so I just thought, it's too much fun to pass up. And so when I was trying to think of like what would my character be doing, I definitely wanted her to have some kind of shop, because I know everybody who writes, not everybody, but a lot of mystery readers enjoy the small shop. It kind of puts you into the middle of the town. You become part of the community. But I remember when we went over there and vacationed, that the glass bottom boat was like the thing that I love the most. Plus, you can see everything underneath you, so that maybe you don't want to go in the ocean after you see what's underneath you. And so I was like, that also lots of fun. Plus, you can have a body float underneath the boat, and then have to figure out who they are. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. So, and it's really cool. They have like one police station, they have one hospital, they have one animal shelter. So you have a very insulated community. However, there are always tourists on the island.
Yeah.
I went over there once, and Ed McMahon was there from Star Search. And I'll never forget standing outside, and there are people who are like elbowing each other to be able to sing for Ed McMahon, like we were standing in the middle of Star Search. And I'm like 12, and I'm thinking, I hope you do realize that he's not handing down a check. Like, you're more than welcome to sing, but that doesn't mean you're getting on. And so I just, between the celebrities that'll go over there, the proximity to LA, I just thought that there was a lot that I could do with it, and people are really enjoying it. So I mean, that's my job, is to have you. I call myself Calgon, which I know is going to age me, but whatever. Because I am here as your escape. And while you're escaping, you and I, in my estimation, are playing a game to see who can get to the end first. And hopefully it's me. And it better not be you, because you read the end first. I'm just saying. don't cheat.
They're all warned.
Right? Yes,
Yeah.
you have been warned. So yeah, I think, one of the questions in the chat is, why did you decide to do this? I will tell you that I did not know that I wanted to be a writer when I was little. I know that there are a lot of people who are like, I've been writing stories since I could hold a crayon. That was not me. I actually was studying to be an opera singer. And then life changed. And when life changed, I went to trade school and became a medical administrative assistant, and worked in the front office of like a bunch of different places. I got married. My husband and I worked opposite shifts. I found myself watching way too much Lifetime TV. Every time I opened the front door, I was pretty certain someone was going to come kill me. And then I was like, you need a hobby, please. Now would be good. And so I went to a bookstore, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to read again, because I used to love reading. Let's do it. I read so many books, and the one thing I kept thinking was, I bet I could do something like that. So stupidly enough, I thought children's books would be really easy to write, because they're like 45 words long, except that those 45 words have to be very specific. I'm not always very specific. And so I started getting into and thinking about what do I like to watch? Lifetime TV, obviously, and Jessica Fletcher. My grandfather was a huge Murder She Wrote Perry Mason watcher. And I just thought, you know what? One of the things that I love most about murder mysteries, cozy mysteries, is that there is always justice at the end. In a thriller, you can have the killer walk away, and that can be part of your thriller. In a romance, you have two people who are falling in love, and that's wonderful too. But there's always a sense of justice at the end of a cozy mystery. And then I found that, if people irritated me, I just killed them in my next book.
Yeah, that's a simple solution.
It really is. My poor dentist, I was having a bad day, and I was in there and I was like, "Look, do not tell me that I have any cavities, because if you tell me that I have any cavities, you are next." And he said, "All right, well, I'll have the nurse tell you that you have a cavity." I said, "No, you're next anyway."
I'm 100% behind you on that one.
Yes.
Now, one of the questions was about place is always important and how a mystery would change. Yours, of course, is solidly on Catalina Island. But what about you, Carol? If you picked a different location, what would it do to your characters and your type of story? What kind of impact?
Well, the Witch City Mystery Series, of course, have to be in Salem. And Salem is an inexhaustible wealth of source material, from the shipping days to the witchcraft days to the current times. It's a wonderful place. I was born and raised there. Kensington loved the fact that I was born in Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween Eve.
Oh, that's awesome, Carol.
I know, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it? Oh yeah, and there's always a party on my birthday, I'll tell you.
Oh, the celebration. Yeah, let's face
So
it.
It's all for you.
I go to Salem as often as I can. I don't want to live there again because the winters are miserable. But so we usually go in the fall, and we went in August this time. And the cover of See Something shows my beautiful cat Orion, and he's looking at the Salem Common at the bandstand. So when we went up there this time, we went to the Salem Common, and I stood in front of the bandstand holding my book cover, with me in front of exactly the same scene with the bench and the bandstand, to put on my Facebook page and any place else I can manage to stick it. www.caroljperry.com if you want to see it. And so Salem has to be there. And I use as many of the real Salem landmarks, the real streets. I use Google Earth a lot. I don't want to send her down the wrong way on a one-way street, and Salem has a lot of those. So I'm very careful about that. I wish we could put maps in the books, because that would really be helpful. And when I do a signing, I always give a map of Salem with it. And oh, I hope the days of the signings are coming back. I miss it. I really love that connection to the reader, personal, real, shake your hands or bump elbows or whatever you could do, that kind of connection. So
we all
actually have a book signing coming up in Salem in 2023.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
We all do.
They do. Yeah, they have a literary week in Salem now, I think, but it's scaled back.
Now, someone else asked, how did you pick the title of your books? You covered it a little bit earlier, but do you want to be specific about it?
Yeah, I apparently am pretty good at picking titles, because they usually like them and keep them. Once in a while, we'll have a discussion, and I will come up with another one, which is then acceptable. So I have been good at picking my titles, and they have taken my cover suggestions also.
Which is unusual, I hear. Most of the time I hear that the publisher says you will like this cover, right? So you're not experiencing that.
I'm not experiencing that. No, the first two, the second one, they had this little small cat on it. And I said to the editor, well, it's very nice, but Orion hates it. He wants to be big. The bigger the cat on the cover, the better the book. and they have taken my word for that ever since. And Orion gets what he wants.
But
And
now
I'm
on
afraid,
your newest one, you've got the dog.
yeah. Well, Finn is going to have, he's going to have some say in these too, I think, when they get to know him. But of course, this is his first outing as a cover boy.
Okay.
My writer friend Cheryl Holland says, you can always tell it's a cozy. It'll be a pun in the title and an animal on the cover.
Yep. You've got it.
True.
What any comments about your title? Because then I'd like us to maybe talk about what the next book, if either of you are willing to.
Sure.
Sure.
The next one after Be My Ghost is High Spirits. And I am
Nice.
going to be straining to come up with titles one after the other, because there are no, the thesaurus has not been much help. Manifestation is a little long to fit on this particular kind of artwork, but we will muddle through and come up with enough titles to suggest that it is about ghosts, because they all will be.
Definitely.
And Salem is just so full of possibilities. You can hardly go wrong. See Something, of course, is my protagonist in this one. You can see a lady. Well, maybe you can't, but there's a lady with her back to you sitting on a bench. And my protagonist in the first chapter finds such a person. Well, she's on her way home from work at WICH TV. There is no WICH TV in Salem, but there really should be.
I agree.
So he is seeing something here, and of course, the see something, say something shows up in the story too.
Okay.
That's awesome. The second Gabby Allan book is going to be called Something Fishy This Way Comes. It will be, thank you. I will be out in July of next year. I have not seen a cover yet, but it will involve kind of sort of a Hatfield and McCoy on a tiny island.
Oh,
And
should be fun.
yeah, it's it really it was a blast to write. And then I just talked to Essie yesterday, and they're asking for some ideas for further stories. So I'm excited about that. I think a lot of people are very much enjoying these, and so I would like to do them for as long as I can. I definitely, with the rom-com cozy aspect, Felix is the boyfriend that Wit thought she had left behind in Long Beach until the dead body floats under the boat, and then she sees the ex-boyfriend walk along the dock in his diving suit, and he has actually taken a job with the police department. And she's like, oh, and she starts running, and then she gets in her golf cart and tries really hard to speed off, but it's a little hard to speed off when you can only go 17 miles per hour.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I think, I think she's a blast. I love her best friend Maribel, who is based on my best friend from high school. I love the cat, and so as long as they're willing to let me do these, I will definitely be doing them to the best of my ability. I think most of the titles are going to be plays on on Shakespeare's plays.
Okay.
So that's the so far those are the titles that I'm coming up with. And like I said, I have to have a title first. I actually write to the title. And so yeah, so hopefully, and Carol, if you need any ghosty words, let me know. I'll shoot you some. We'll get together on that.
Okay, so you're coming out in July of next year.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say, Carol? When is your next book being released?
Let me see. The next one will be book 12
Oh,
in the Witch
okay.
City book. And that will be out next spring, April, I think. And then will be book 2 in the Haunted Haven series, and that will be out in for the Christmas market, because it's a Christmas story, and that'll be probably October.
And what I'm hoping most of all is that we'll be having live visits by that time and we can see both of you at Book Carnival.
I would love that. I would
That would
totally
be
fly out
great.
there for you.
Yep.
I just have to hide from my family because I still have my husband's family all still lives in California.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "Not near San Diego." I'm just kidding.
We'll hide you in orange and they won't know the difference.
Well, okay, that would be great. So I miss In-N-Out Burger a lot. I miss Del Taco too.
You
Just
sound like my grandson. Okay.
it's rough. It's rough. I actually used to work at Del Taco. And if you can't tell, I'm a really loud person. And they would not let me use the microphone to announce that someone's food was ready because it was so
Okay.
loud. Yeah. I used to do the drive-through too, and I would mess with people and say things if I was bored. I would be like, "Welcome to Del Taco. This is Burger. How can I help you today?" I was burger, quesadilla. Only one person ever caught me and said, "Did you just say your name quesadilla?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's Misty. How can I help you?" I don't know what you heard, but I didn't say that.
Oh, you could be trouble. I can tell.
I am trouble. There's really no could. Barry Summy is here, and as yep, she's waving right now. She will absolutely tell you that I am all kinds of trouble, and I enjoy every second of it.
I'm glad. Anybody want to open their mics and make any comments, questions live? You're more than welcome to. Okay. I don't see anything else over here in questions. What else would you two briefly like to let us know?
Carol, you want to go first, or you want me to?
Sure. I love to hear from readers. I wish we could meet in person more often, but I do love to hear from readers. So if you can go to the Facebook page, you can go to the Goodreads, or many ways to contact you. Or go to Kensington, and they have a whole alphabet, and you just go to the initial you want. You probably have two initials on Kensington. I don't know, but and then you can get the contact there. And we do love to hear from. There's some of the book clubs. I was working with one of the Between the Covers book club the last couple of days. Actually, I'll be on tomorrow almost all day doing posts, and you get such good feedback and such good suggestions. And sometimes even in the reviews, you'll get a critical thing, and I never answer them, but once in a while there'll be one, like a lady said, Pete takes the Lord's name in vain, and I don't like it. And I thought, Pete doesn't need to do that. And if it offends that lady, it perhaps offends some other people, and Pete will just clean up his vocabulary. He can still say hell and damn, but he doesn't have to say Jesus. So,
Very good thinking.
Oh my gosh, Carol.
And I appreciate it.
Too funny. I love it. I love your attitude. You make me so happy. I love it. It's a beautiful thing. I guess for me, I would say, I also love to hear from readers. I am so excited to be in a place where I can interact with more people than I've ever been able to before. And also, the whole point for me is to be able to touch people's lives that I might never ever meet. I had an email from a guy a couple of 2 or 3 months ago about the series that's set in Mechanicsburg, the Tally Graver mysteries. His dad is really struggling with dementia, and he remembers the things from my books but doesn't remember other things. And so when his dad is having a really bad day, they actually go around the town and visit all the places that he remembers from my books because it makes him feel good.
Oh,
That's amazing. I that makes my entire year.
Yes.
Or I had a lady come up to me at a conference. I do Malice Domestic, which is in Virginia. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, are you Misty Simon?" And I was like, "Well, if it's something bad, then no. And I'll go find her for you. But if it's something good, lay it on me." And she was like, "I was going through a really bad time. I was reading your books. I love them so much. The other day when I was having a bad time again, I just thought, you know what? If Ivy Morris can do this, then so can I." And I thought, oh, and then I said, "I'll be back in 10 minutes. I have to go like bawl my eyes out and then fix my makeup and hope that my eyes aren't hugely red." And so, like, I think sometimes that it's such an amazing thing to be able to be your Calgon. It is such an amazing thing that you trust me to take you out of whatever is going on at the moment and entertain you. And I love that people connect with things. And if that's what you're looking for, then, you know, come on over to Carol, come on over to Misty and or Gabby, and be entertained. Let us take some of your burden. You know, let us take an hour or half an hour or 7 hours when you should be going to bed because you have to work in the morning. I like that too. But let us take you away for a little bit and go to Book Carnival and get your books there.
The most therapeutic thing I've ever found is to lose myself in a book when the world
Yes.
is caving in.
Yes.
And I come out of it feeling much better. And that's true with both of your books. I'm
Oh,
going to
thank
count.
you.
I'm going to count on one or both of you to let me know when that uh, benefit or program comes out this way, comes out west again.
The mini cons?
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I had not heard of it before, and I do want to see it, attend it.
Yep.
So somebody let me know.
Absolutely.
And I'll
Between
share it
Carol
with,
and I.
I'll share it with my readers and book club people who are avid
Wonderful.
readers. And
Wonderful.
hopefully we can count on having both of you next year in person, which is so much better. Loved
Yes.
everything you had to say. Last chance for a question, anybody? Okay, they're silent. You've done it all.
Thanks
Well,
for inviting us,
if you
Anne.
bring me out in person, you also get to see the vintage swing dresses that I wear with the petticoats underneath it.
Oh, my heart throbs because those were my favorite things to wear. The
Somehow
fuller,
that
the
does
better.
not surprise me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And
square danced for years, so I always found the biggest petticoats I could find.
square dancing in petticoats is just about the most amazing thing ever. We might have to put a square dance on.
Hey, why not? Thank
I
you
could swing
again
my
so
partner.
much. This has been
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Bye, ladies.
Thank you, Anne.
Thanks, everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Carol.
And books
Bye-bye.
are available. Books are available at Book Carnival.
Awesome.
Bye now. Thank you again. Wonderful.
That was so much fun.
It was really.